This is Ron Klopfanstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Boy, that was great, my first drop. And yes, this is the hot seat on a Media Monday.
Yes.
And Ron Klopfanstein, and it's an exciting week because Anastasia, the musical, will open this weekend at Rome Community Theater on Thursday. The first show is on Thursday, July 11th at 7:30 p.m. You can also see it on Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And on Sunday, there is a matinee at 2:30 p.m. Rome Community Theater. And I have joined today by the director, the music director, and the choreographer of the play. So, Justin Jones, welcome to the show. You're the director of Anastasia.
Yes, thanks for having us here today.
Are you ready for the big opening?
We are. We're actually really ahead of schedule. We had a tech last weekend, and it went super smooth.
Terrific.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
So what's Anastasia all about?
So it's very similar to the Princess movie that you might be familiar with.
Yep.
And there's a little bit of a twist, though. Instead of everything with Rasputin, that entire storyline part of it, it's removed, and it was replaced with a character, Gleb, which is a much more enthralling storyline. Gives a lot more of an anti-hero to put.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it has a lot of the same music, like Journey to the Past. You're still going to hear that.
Once Upon a December?
Oh, yeah, that's right in there. And they're beautifully sung by Abby, who's playing our Anya. And our Gleb, who's that additional role, has some amazing songs that you don't get to hear in the movie. So it's going to be really exciting. There's some outstanding dancing. The set looks beautiful. We have the projections
So
that
describe
Broadway
the
used.
set,
Yeah, so the set is... It's purple with black texture, gold texture throughout it. Claire Bosley was our set painter for that, and it was actually designed by Laura Salvaggio, who...
Oh, from Utica University, yes.
Yes, and we are using the Broadway projections, the same projections they used on Broadway, with a screen that we were able to build and rear project within that space.
How does that work? What is rear projection in a play?
So, when you project in a show, you have the option of projecting from the front, and then you have the possibility of shadows interfering, and so it's basically they're getting hit by the light in the front in addition to all the lights, and we brought in a lot of lights for this show. But if you put it from behind, you can go in front of it all you want. It doesn't interfere with the picture, and it gets a higher resolution quality. The only issue is you have to invert the image as well as you do it.
Oh, I see. So you guys must have figured that out, though.
Oh, yeah. Our technical director, Corey, does an amazing job.
Oh, right. Corey Eldridge, right?
Yes. She's fantastic.
I interviewed her about a year ago with Company. So,
nice.
She's very good. She's doing the sound?
So Corey is our technical director, so she oversees everything technical.
Oh, including this projection thing.
Oh, everything. And then she's also the lighting designer. So we do have someone else running sound, and we have people running the projections, we have people running the lights, but she oversees all of it throughout the process.
So what is projected on the background? I remember in the movie it takes place in Russia, of course, and then in Paris, I think.
So there's actually a lot of cues. There's a lot of 112 different projections that we use.
112 projections?
And
gosh.
That includes moving projections, stagnant projections based off of what the scene is. There's even a projection that is of a train that moves, which we had to build, holds 8 people, does full spins on the stage, and we have it in timing with the spinning projection that's moving the whole time.
Wow, this sounds pretty amazing.
It's pretty magical.
Has the local theater group done that before? I don't think I've seen that.
I've never seen it in Central New York. To me, this is more in line with something you might see at a regional theater.
Yeah. So it must have taken quite a while to get that going and stuff.
Oh yeah, we've been planning since December when we got the rights. The rights became available to license at the end of October, early November, and we had them by December.
Oh, really?
I was right on top of this one when it dropped. I saw it on Broadway, saw it on the tour twice, and I said, as soon as this drops, we're going for it. It's going to be a hit. And it's a bigger hit than I could have possibly expected.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Just to see the rear projection thing sounds really great.
Oh yeah, and
of course you guys are all talented yourself too. But
it's the most talented cast I've ever seen in Central New York for community theater. If I'm being completely honest, as biased as it might sound as the director. So tell me about some
of these characters and actors that you got.
So our main lead, Anya, is just graduated high school, last month, and she's outstanding. She's playing Anya. That's the main character that is trying to remember she's Anastasia, and convince the empress that she is and the whole journey that it gets her there. And she's accompanied by two extremely talented individuals. It is Dimitri, who's played by Liam Butler, and then there's Vlad, who is played by Dustin, and they are fantastic. They are hilarious. It's a trio that just goes and has a blast the whole time, but they get themselves into some rough situations. Then you're also going to find Gleb, who's one of the leads as well.
And that's this new character who wasn't in the animated film.
And his plot line is, and he is played by a person named Nick as well, and he is a soldier in Russia, essentially. He's high up in the Russian society, and his parents were the ones that pulled the trigger on the Romanov family. So you could see that whole internal battle of, is he going to follow his family line and what's expected of him from that, or is he going to follow his heart and what he believes is right? And so that's a whole extra plot line to that as well.
So it has depth, but it's so lighthearted comedy, and it's similar to the movie.
Yes, there's a lot of funny moments. It's very lighthearted, but at points it gets really serious. So it's it's very family friendly too. So it's a good show for everybody.
Nice, and this rear projection thing sounds amazing.
It looks beautiful. I have to show you some pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh Clanton, you are the musical director of Anastasia, and it's a musical itself. So I imagine you had quite a lot you had to do. What does a music director do?
So for how we run the process, we kind of start with the music. We do a run through, see where things are, what problem spots of the show could be, and then you spend more time. You usually start with a big group stuff, so that way you can get all the difficult things out of the way, and then for example, later on in the process, Journey to the Past, one of the most famous songs of the show, I didn't have to spend a lot of time with Abby on it because she had already known it for years. But still, you want to look over it, make sure that everything's clean and stuff. But and then once everything's taught, I spend a lot of time with each individual actor that has little solo moments, making sure that they can healthily achieve the sound that they want and that I want. And at this point, I can't really do too much more. I just make sure that the music flows evenly throughout the show, and make sure that if something's skipped, that I can make sure to find it and catch up.
Yep. So what you do, how does the music director approach a song like Once Upon a December that everybody knows and has heard it, and it was actually like a top 40 hit too? How do you approach that?
So for Once Upon a December, I knew that it was going to be tricky because
it's kind of like the song people are going to be looking for too.
Yeah. So you want it, as an audience member, you want it to sound a certain way, but you also want to be able to create your own little spin on it.
Right.
So what I tried to do was, with the ensemble that's behind it, I tried to keep that as straightforward as possible. Mm-hmm. Everything that you've heard before, it's not all too different. And then you take that moment with Anya, and you allow her to change stylistically how she sings. In the movie, it's I don't remember who played Anastasia in the movie, but she sings more with a head voice, soft, princessy sound. And then the Broadway, Kirstie Allsmore, she is more of a modern Broadway belter. I like
to project a lot.
Yes, and then Abby puts her own little twist on it. My job at that point is to make sure that she's not copying anybody directly, and to make sure that what she's doing is healthy and she can sustain doing that.
For her voice.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what could someone do that wouldn't be healthy for their voice? What do you have to be on guard for?
So a lot of the times with a lot of modern Broadway singing styles, there's a lot of belting stuff. Abby's fantastic at keeping it placed healthily. So when you're belting, a lot of people tend to tense up in their neck area because that's where a lot of people think the sound comes from. When
instead of their chest, they kind of get it to come out of their throat.
Yeah, so they try to get it to come out of their throat.
Yeah.
What you're really looking to do as a singer is as you're singing, you want to be able to feel the front of your face vibrate. And your soft palate needs to be lifted. Make sure that there's enough space. And I've been very fortunate to not have to worry too much with Abby because she has been training for years. Yeah, so just making sure that they're not tensing too much in their neck.
Right. And I can imagine that's an important thing with the play, because people naturally probably want to go big.
Oh yeah, I mean yesterday we had our tech rehearsal yesterday, and we have shows and rehearsals every day until next Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's songs that are extremely difficult to sing for each of the actors, and you want to make sure that
Journey to the Past too.
Oh yeah, you want to make sure that they're able to sing that same way every day, without tiring or
4 days
hurting
in
their
a row and
voice.
stuff. Yeah. So Noah, now you are the choreographer. So
Yes.
you must have worked closely with Josh as the music director and with the people as they're singing the songs, and it's up to you to decide how they move across the stage as well as dance, I imagine, right?
Right. And one of the things that's been fun with this show, as you mentioned earlier, it takes place in Russia and Paris, so those have to be very different styles of dancing, and that's something you have to take into consideration.
So how did you do that?
So one of the things I did in terms of the Russian choreography is I was in a number of Nutcracker productions, so I know a lot of different styles from like
because
different
it's Tchaikovsky,
countries.
right? So it is a Russian
Yeah, similar.
kind of
Yeah.
thing,
So you take like that stylistic folk dancing and you throw that in there because people are going to recognize that. You know, there's a difference between going to see like 42nd Street versus a number like Hurry Holds the Key, which takes place in Paris. And it has to be that big Broadway number without it being like, oh, that looked exactly the same as the number 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the fun thing with working with these guys and some of the actors that I've known in the past, I know what their strong suits are, and our brains are also usually on the same wavelength. So like when choreographing a number, you have the bare bones of what you want, right? You have people dancing, doing this step on this side of the stage and so forth, but you know where their strengths lie, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to put someone on stage doing something they can't do.
If it's like a complicated dance.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like in the show, we have a beautiful quartet ballet number that's almost straight from Swan Lake.
Really?
And 2 of them have been trained dancers for a long time, and 2 of them, since auditions before Memorial Day weekend, I said, hey guys, let's try this and see what happens. If it's not comfortable, tell me. If it is, great. And one of the things they've really been able to do is overdo it to the point where they look very regal, like they know what they're doing, and you really can't tell the difference unless you're trained like me, who's going to be nitpicky. It's a beautiful number.
That's great. So they had never danced a ballet type dance before,
nope.
and you had to teach them between Memorial Day and now how to do it. So they must have been like really good sports. I imagine most people doing plays are because they try new things.
Definitely.
So now, what do you do? Like, how do you mix? How do you coach somebody who has to think about their singing for their what they sing plus what they dance at the same time? Like, it must be hard for actors to keep that straight, and for you too to keep that straight.
Sure. So when I choreograph a number so that it's easy for them to remember, instead of a lot of people count at a time, like through 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So I utilize that.
Actually, what does that mean? The counting through 8.
So in dance, everyone typically counts of 8. It's kind of like if you're reading music, it's the same way, but for dancers, it's you're counting to a count of 8. So those are the counts. On 5, your hands are in the air. On 6, you're kneeling on the floor, right?
Oh, so like you do it over and over again.
Yep.
So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
and then start over. Exactly.
Okay.
And
like kind of like your rhythm to it. Like
For dancers, very easy to keep. Exactly. That's very easy to keep in mind. For people who aren't trained dancers, sometimes it's a little trickier. And in community theater, what's fun is you get to experience that. Like a friend of mine who's in the show, that doesn't work very well for them. So we have to be like, okay, on this lyric, this is the step we're doing. And then sometimes, and that works wonders sometimes with people, like when you sing this part, you're going to stand over there. Yeah, similar if you were to blocking a show, when you say the line, you're on this side of the stage. So it works hand in hand very easily.
So you have to decide sometimes, I imagine, if you should direct somebody to do it in a way that kind of fits more like more line by line than actually like an actual dancing kind of rhythm kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So what if the song doesn't match the dance, like the 1, 2, 3, 4? See, I'm not very musical. So that's why you have all these questions.
I like the
how do people do this stuff?
So I like to do as much research as possible.
Yeah.
So that nothing that I'm putting together comes across as phony. Because even an untrained eye will say, that doesn't look right. right?
Yeah.
If you go to a show at the Stanley and the show on stage doesn't match the tempo of the song or something, you can tell. You don't know the footwork, but you know
You don't
something looks
maybe
off
know
about that.
why, but you can feel it.
Right.
When it's off.
Right.
So.
And I think that when doing research and trying to make it comfortable for the people who aren't trained dancers,
Yeah.
it comes together very comfortably for both the audience and the show, because then they build that confidence over time. During the tech yesterday, as they've mentioned, two of the biggest numbers in the show, Hurry Holds the Key and Land of Yesterday, huge energetic numbers. They did them probably the best yesterday they've done it in the last
Really?
month. And so I know all of us were like super excited with how yesterday's run went.
Yeah.
Because you know, there are those days. Everyone has those days. But yesterday was show ready. Like I felt
Yeah.
so confident in them, and so yeah, that was a great feeling.
So it all came together. So it all
Perfectly,
works
yes,
out
exactly.
in the end. Now,
Yeah.
did you do research like to look up like Russian folk dances or like
Yep.
dances from that time, the 1900s in Paris?
Yeah.
You know,
So in the number that I just mentioned, Land of Yesterday, there's a section of the dance where all the guys are on stage and they do almost move for move like your typical folk Russian dancing with the, you know, the drop and up and all
Yeah,
like
right,
the split
right.
leaps and stuff.
Yeah.
Which that's another story I'll get to later. But
yeah, that's gonna be hard, and I do want to hear. You gotta tell us more about
Sure.
that. How you kind of combine, how all of you combine the work that the three of you do to make one unified show. So I'm talking to the directors of Anastasia the musical, which will premiere on Thursday, and it will be presented on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon at Rome Community Theater. This is Ron Klopfanstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. We'll be back with more after the break.
At First Source, we encourage all of our members to have healthy savings habits, like getting into a habit of paying yourself. Or
This is
I got lunch to make today.
You're in the good seat at Media
We were on
Monday.
Kiss FM.
oh, that's right. How was it?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Media Monday show. This is not Woodstock. Did I press the button? Is that right? Okay, I'm on the air. That's good. Anastasia the musical opens this week at Rome Community Theater, and I'm here with Justin Jones, who's the director, Josh Clanton, who is the music director, and Noah Alexander, who's the choreographer. Noah, when we went to break, you were telling me about how you did some research into
Yeah.
some of the folk dances of Russia, and maybe some of the other place that takes place is Paris, right?
Yep.
If I remember the movie
Yep.
right. So you must have had to look up some of the dances of that
For
time
sure.
period too. So tell us a little bit about that process.
So I started by watching the movie because I
That's a good start.
had not seen the movie until this year. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
gonna admit that
It's
now.
a good
yeah.
movie.
Me either.
Oh, fair.
Well, I think it was like a '90s one. It could have been before you.
Sure.
So you
Yeah.
were born. Actually, now I think about it. So tell me.
Yeah. So I watched the movie, and then after that point, I tried not to watch anything from any production at all, because one thing I personally do not like is copycat. Anybody that copies the way a singer sings, dances, or any choreography, if it's the same, I don't like it. And I personally don't like doing that when I'm choreographing a show. I like to listen to everything on loop until I get an idea. And as soon as I get the idea, then I'll do the research to plug those themes and styles into what I already came up with.
Oh,
And to
okay.
make sure that it works with people who aren't necessarily dancers or confident
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With different levels of ability and
Sure.
training and stuff. So
Yeah.
once you have to take that into consideration and stuff.
Yep.
So, Josh, let me ask you then, as a music director, you're directing people who are going to sing some songs, two of the songs, Once Upon a December and Journey to the Past. People know about, people, when they hear the title, they kind of think of the song in their head. How do you help somebody approach a familiar song in a way that's not copy?
So with this cast and show in particular, it is very difficult. We actually have a couple of leads who sound very similar to the people that played it on Broadway.
Okay.
And so my whole thing was, I stopped listening to the show about March. That way, I had fresh ideas in my head when
And was that before the show was cast?
Oh yeah, the show wasn't cast until late in May.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to take those couple months I would listen to like orchestrations of it so that way I could hear the music without the singing.
Yeah.
And I would look at the music on my iPad, which I put the score on.
Yeah.
And I would try singing along with something, be like,
Yeah.
this is how I would do it. and then be like, okay, this is not. So I'm obviously bass baritone. I'm not going to sing my Petersburg the same way that Liam, who's a high tenor, is going to sing it. So
Yeah.
I would say, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong. What can I do to teach Liam how to sing it right?
What is this thing that a person can do wrong, like when they sing? And what
so
is it that you want them to do right?
So I say wrong and right. If you are singing the correct notes, you are technically not singing it wrong. As
Okay.
long as the rhythms and notes are right, you are singing correctly. I say wrong and right as in, can you sustain doing this over a 7-week process,
Yeah.
like almost every day?
Yeah.
Especially with a like I said earlier, my Petersburg, it's an intense song.
That's a particularly difficult song.
Oh yeah. So I call it vocal gymnastics. He's up and down all the time, changing
Oh,
registers, which typically, if you are not trained properly, can be very damaging to your voice.
Right, right.
So my whole goal with it is to always make sure that somebody, even if it's just you have to sing lighter when you get to this part in order to be able to keep doing it throughout the process.
So, as music director, did you have a hand in the casting?
Oh yeah, it was Justin, Noah, myself, Steve Hampy, who's our producer, and then.
So, it's like you must have discussed it amongst yourself. Like, are they a good fit for the acting parts of it, and the dramatic parts, and the dancing parts? They all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the way we run auditions is they sing first.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's not capable of singing the role, it's hard to cast them even
With
if
a
they're the
musical,
best
yeah.
actor in the world. And then from there we kind of pick easier things to sing that gives them a chance to show off more choreography. Noah came up with some great choreography for dance auditions that show people's capabilities.
Yeah.
We actually had 2 cuts this year. We had one for the ballet scene, and then we had one for more of the typical musical theater style dancing.
So, Justin, like, can you explain a bit about, like, what's the process by which community theater acquires the rights to a play?
So that's a whole long process that happens there.
Because it's expensive. You have to pay for that.
Oh yeah, the rights just keep going up, especially post-COVID. The rights have been crazy.
Really? Oh, they've increased since COVID. I
And
would have thought it might be lower.
Oh
because
no,
it's bouncing back, but-
they actually all got bought up. So there was one company that's been large for a long time.
Is it
musical
Samuel
theater.
French, or?
So Samuel French actually got bought out by Concord. So Concord owns the rights to
okay.
Anastasia as well,
All
and they
right.
own a bunch of them. So now that there's really 2 big players than 1 to 2
Yeah.
small players, rights have gone up like crazy. And with how much of a drive there is to get this show, the rights were very expensive for the show. So you put in the rights holders, any of them that are rights holders get a chance to look at it. For
Yeah.
this show, I believe it's all under a singular right holder, which makes it easy. Last year's we did Rock of Ages. According to Concord, it's the hardest show you can license because every single band has their own right holder. And so as a jukebox, typically it goes into 1 or 2 that need to sign off.
Yeah.
This was 8,
20.
9, 10 different
So
sign-offs
with Rock of
needed.
Ages, like every rock band, they had a song in there had to sign off on the rights.
Unless
To
they
get
had
their credit
already
for it.
gave like a overall signature of just do whatever, they had to sign off on it because it's part of their book.
So how does a community theater like manage that?
So it actually goes through a licensing company. So
Okay, so it's like you had to call up the lead singer of
no,
Journey or
that'd be
Metallica,
crazy.
okay.
So how it actually happens is you actually couldn't even get it through a lead singer. Like you couldn't call up Journey and be like, "Hey, can I use your song?" Because they don't usually own it themselves.
Oh, right.
So it goes through a licensing company. And in this situation, it's
Kind of like
Concord
the publisher
Theatricals.
probably has
Yeah,
the rights.
it's very similar, yeah. And so Concord makes sure all the sign-offs happen, and then they say yes or no, and they check the distance of touring productions, other community theaters, schools, any production that can happen, and there's a range based off of the popularity and time in the market. So a
Yeah.
show like Sweeney Todd, you could probably do it in Utica, you could do it in Rome, and Syracuse all at the same time.
Yeah.
A show like Anastasia just hitting the market, there's probably a 75 to 100 mile radius
Oh,
to do the
really?
show.
So like with a show probably like rent to like a top tier show, they probably more restrictions. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, 100%. This is the most restrictions I've ever seen on a licensing agreement of a show.
For Anastasia?
Yeah.
So did you have to like appeal? Like, did you have to like pitch to the publisher what you wanted to do with the play? Or is
No,
it just
but
the
I
main
had
thing?
to pitch that to Rome Community Theater to
okay.
let them allow me to do it.
So, like, what did you have to convince them of? Like, that it would sell tickets or your vision?
So I come in with a big proposal. I'm a finance guy in the day, so it allows me to be prepared. I come in with finances. I come in with proposal of everything: costumes, set,
like, how much it would
props,
cost?
how much it cost of vision. So I create like almost like a digital vision board. So like I'll grab pictures of different sets.
Yeah.
I'll grab pictures of just various things that fit within a theme, and I throw that all into a big Google Drive folder, and then I share it with everybody, and then I hope they look at it. And then they ask me a lot of questions. Sometimes people look at it, sometimes they don't. And then they decide if they want to have me on for that summer or not.
So you would have to, like, pitch to them, like, you have to think about, like, you would have to know kind of in advance, like, how much you're going to need for costumes and for
I do
lights or
hundreds of
sets
hours
or-
of research before I even pitch a show, and then once it's confirmed, it's hundreds of hours of research before a single auditioner walks in the room.
And then how many hours, like, are you putting in, like, now, like, in the month of May to get ready, or month of June to get ready for this July show?
Quite a bit. We're there at least 4 days a week for at least 4 to 5 hours.
Wow.
We are there nonstop. But it's a show unlike any other I've seen at community theater level.
Yeah.
From the set to the costumes to the talent to the lights that are going to be happening, everything. We brought in so many lights to this theater. We
You brought extra lights in for this?
Oh, a bunch of them. Some of it from
Why?
our own
Like-
personal. Due to the lights that are there, it gives us so many more options.
Okay.
And due to the projection, if we put lights right onto the projector, it dampens the image.
Oh, I
So we have to find all these new ways to light. So you can't just light straight on. You're lighting
Yeah.
from odd angles. You're lighting from
Oh,
overhead
yeah.
with certain shutters closed.
Yeah.
You're making sure that everything is properly lit, but that requires way more lights and a lot more time.
And the lights have to be changed throughout the play, right?
Oh,
There's-
yeah,
There's cues for
nonstop.
that, yeah.
Between the projections and the lights and the set pieces moving and every possible thing, we have 2 stage managers to help mitigate all of this.
So, Josh, it must be kind of difficult for you too. It must be a challenge for you, at least to, like, because you kind of have to merge the acting, the sets, with the dancing, and keep your actors on track as they sing. You do all the other stuff too.
Yeah, so as they go along, early on in the process, I try to remind them, if it's a choreography rehearsal, a lot of times we'll just play it with a soundtrack version, so that way they don't have to worry about singing it. But like towards the end of the night when they're running it fully, I try to say, hey guys, make sure that you try singing it, because that's what you're gonna have to do for the show. And eventually, like so there's usually halfway through the show when you're putting together the music and the choreography, there's like 1 or 2 rehearsals that are rough.
Yeah,
compared to-
especially at first we kind of mix it all together.
yeah, but just repetition of making sure they keep doing it, and then more so, like you said, with set pieces, there's actors that'll go on and like they have to make it look like they're acting, but are actually moving a set piece for the next scene, and you're not even realizing it. There's a sweet tango between our Vlad and a chair that is ended up being used in the next scene, but you're not thinking of that. So
Yeah.
Dustin has to make
Also,
sure
there's a reason, like, it happens. It happens
everything
in-
that's
Oh, yeah.
on a stage, for everything that should be
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on, there should be a reason behind it. That's not always the case with community theater,
Yeah.
but everything that's happening should be happening for a reason.
So sometimes when people are moving stuff, it's really to get it, not just for the story purpose, but to get it in position for the next
yes.
part. So Noah, I've always wondered, like, when people choreograph, how do, like, I know that, like, a choreographer can, like, copyright their work as a choreographer.
Sure.
How do you as a choreographer, like, record your work? Like, and how do you communicate that to your cast? Like, I'm thinking, like, say if you write a play,
Mhm.
you know, you write the play. It's
Right.
like paper, you print it out, here it is. If you are directing the music, you know, you have the song, but then you might take notes, like, at this point in the song, you should go higher or whatever, you know. With a choreographer, like, how do you keep a written record, like, this is what I want you to do at this point, this is what I want you over there to do at this point? how do you keep track of that?
Sure. So, very rarely do I actually write things down. Most of it, like if I'm visualizing what I want the number to look like, I have a pretty good idea before I show up because of it.
Yeah.
I have to know how many people, obviously.
Yeah.
What the set's going to look like, so I can work around that, so there's no collision happening, no one's going through the projector screen, you know.
Right.
But if I do write it down, I don't really think anybody would be able to understand my chicken scratch because there's some.
This was
a lot of
like,
dance terminology, actually, ironically enough, is in either Russian or French because
Oh,
a lot
really?
of dance, derives
because it
from.
originated from.
Yeah,
originally
exactly.
From,
Yeah. So, certain choreography rehearsals, as everyone can attest to, sometimes you get one number a night over the course of a 3.5, 4 hour rehearsal because it has to be in terms of let's say Land of Yesterday, which is like a 6-minute number. Yeah.
Oh, that's a long time on
right.
stage, especially with
and there's
choreography.
this many people coming on stage, this many
Yeah.
people going up, and it's a lot happening at once. And to make it as clean as possible and yet easily rememberable as possible, it takes a long time. But I'm grateful for the cast that we have because we have a huge group of people who didn't have any dance experience other than maybe your usual community theater like Sidestep, Grapevine,
like other
Charleston.
shows that they would have.
Yeah, typical steps.
Yeah.
But I have a great group of people dancing that even 2 months ago they're doing stuff that they didn't think they could do. In that number, like I referenced earlier, I have a group of guys doing split jumps. And
That's like the Russian thing, like where you kind of cross your arms and like kind of like a, I was gonna say a lunge, but not really a lunge, but like you kind of like sink to the ground and like bend your knees and spring back.
Yeah, you have the right idea.
Which has got to be kind of hard.
Oh, it's very difficult. And put people in tuxedos and ask them to do it then.
Oh, right.
Can you share what happened the other day as they tried that?
Tell us.
Okay. So, I'm not going to call anybody out, but my friend Brandon, who's in the show, it was our first time really doing it in suits and, you know, the appropriate costumes for the show. And he went all the way down, big old jump, and he heard, and tore his pants right on stage.
I can see that would happen doing that kind of dance with a tux.
Yeah, oh, exactly, yeah.
So what happens if that happens on Thursday night or Friday night or Saturday night?
They keep rolling.
That's up
What
to
do you do?
them. They change pants.
Gotta work that into the act.
Yeah.
So now, do you visualize what you want people to do?
Mm-hmm.
So do you like act it out for each person on stage? This is how I want you to do the dance, and how do you remember what you want everyone to do? Because you probably like have ideas, like you have a flash of insight, like I should have so and so do this in the back. How do you keep track of it? Like how do you write that down?
So I will always do every dance with the cast because I want it to be something that if I'm comfortable doing it, they're comfortable doing it, and if they're comfortable doing it, I'm good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so prior to teaching it to them, I will do it so many times in a row to be sure it's something that they can withhold stamina-wise over the course of a 2-3 month process.
Oh yeah.
And so that I know what I'm doing before I teach it to them.
Yeah.
But in terms of maintaining stamina-wise, I make sure it's something like we referenced earlier that they can sing through.
Oh,
so that once they're used to it, you know what I mean?
And then
it's
layer
something
upon that the costumes and
maintaining
that probably
character.
changes things a little bit. You know,
And it gets real hot up there too.
It does.
I was gonna say with all those lights on, that's
Lights, the
change
costumes.
stuff too. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Well, we got to go to break. When we come back, I want to hear more stories about backstage at Anastasia the musical. I'm with Justin Jones, the director, Josh Clanton, the music director, and Noah Alexander, who's the choreographer. You're on the hot seat on a Media Monday. We'll have more after this break. This is Ron Klopfanstein. You're on the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Ron Klopfanstein. I love that intro. I really like that. This is the first show where I've had my own. It usually says, "This is Cassandra Harris Lockwood, and you're in the hot seat." And I immediately have to correct it when we come back from break or start the show. No, it's not Cassandra Harris. It is the hot seat. It's Media Monday. It's a great day for media because a great week because we have 2 great blockbuster plays that are opening in Rome. One is Anastasia, the director, the musical director, the choreographer are here today. We'll be talking about that, but also Something Rotten will be on at Summer Stage, Rome Capitol Theater, also on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not on Sunday. But so there's really two great things you can do this weekend. To go see these great plays. Go see them both. I mean, isn't it great that we have this like robust community in this area? We have you guys, Rome Community Theater. We have Summer Stage. We have Players. We have Utica University, my favorite. We have what else do we have?
There's
And
Ilion Little
Proctor.
Theater. I'm Proctor.
Ilion, yeah.
If you want to go out closer to the Syracuse area, it expands even farther. You got CNYC, you got
much of
BTG. There's so many out there.
Yep. And Hamilton too. I actually saw Angels in America.
They do great shows over there.
They really do. They have quite a stage too. They have a thing where like, I'm not sure what you call this, but maybe you guys would know. The middle of the stage, it like can sink down. So an elevator, or I'm not sure what you call it.
Yeah, I'm not
Elevated stage, or
pretty much. Yeah, it's it adds to a lot of interesting blocking that you can do with that.
It really did, yeah. So blocking, what's the hardest part? You guys can all answer, but Justin, if you and Josh, just make sure the mic is between you both, and don't worry about looking at me. Just look at the mic. So, what's the most challenging or interesting or surprising part about putting this play together? Anastasia.
Probably a different answer for each of us.
So I would say personally the hardest thing for me was because how we set up the process is that we start off with a vision, we talk.
The three of you?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then
Stephen Hampy, your producer?
he wasn't really in on the creative process for it. It was mainly
It's probably good to keep the producers out.
Oh yeah. And then we talked, and because how we set it up to make it a quick turnover, because we're not in the theater for most of the time.
What do you mean by that?
So Rome Community Theater was doing a show, Spitfire Grill, that
That's
closed
right. I
in the middle of June.
Show. Yeah. So you couldn't use the stage.
We
right?
were in there for 2 rehearsals before that, and so we actually rehearsed at Utica University.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yes,
Nice.
and due to that, we didn't have the actual space, so we blocked the whole show in 2 days. 2 days plus a little extra. And then
on a different stage though.
no,
right?
we block it all at Rome Community Theater when we got there, and before that we do the choreography and the music.
Yeah.
So then we take that vision, and then I compile what happened with the choreography to make the blocking work for it, make who's singing what songs where, how, make that all fit together. And with this large of a cast and this intricate of a show, there's some numbers and some points of the show I was spending an hour and a half, 2 hours getting through a singular scene. Like the press conference for one of them. If you come and see the show, that one, there's a lot of chaos going on. There's a lot of intricate parts. But to get that many people doing one solo line, because it's individual solo lines that make up a full
like
number.
a press corps asking questions.
Exactly.
Anastasia.
And get that to have the hustle and bustle that it would need, but still form that nice stage picture was an extremely complicated part of the process. And then getting points to Noah and I work very smoothly together, and we'll very consistently be like, oh yeah, what about this here? And then we'll flow with it from there. We run on the same brain for a lot of the shows.
Nice.
And it works nice in the rehearsal process too, because we'll just shoot each other a quick look, and we know exactly what's going on. And so that makes the process really easy for us to be able to have that internal communication just built right in.
Was it hard though? Like you did it for 2 days on your actual stage around, then you had to pick up the whole production and come to Utica University stage. Are the two stages the same size?
Not even
or-
close.
I was gonna say, I didn't
The
think
Utica
they were,
University
so.
stage is both shallower and
It's a little bit
smaller.
small, yeah, it's
So
more
we had
colorful.
to adjust in proportion size.
Right.
And then when we were at Rome Community Theater to block it, the set wasn't up yet, so we had to tape out the set in advance to make sure it went to size. And including in that, there's levels. So there's the projection, and on the side we have additional platforms, and that gives us levels with the set and everything like that. But that couldn't be implemented till about a week or so into it, and we got all this built in just over a week. Which is
Did you
pretty
guys
impressive.
have to take down this bit for a grill set?
We did, yes. There was a few members of their production that helped take it down as well. But we went right there Sunday evening, and we're
Probably couldn't wait to get your set built up and stuff.
Oh yeah, and we started building it that Wednesday,
Really?
and we had it all built by the following Saturday. So not even a week later, we were up and ready to go.
So does everyone like pitch in when you build sets? or,
So
like, you know?
with this show, we're fortunate enough, and I'm
And I was looking
fortunate
at some
enough.
pictures of the set too for the listeners out there. Josh was showing me some pictures of the set with the weird projection, and it really is amazing. It definitely something to see. This gonna be.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing, and for all the aspects of the show, I'm fortunate enough that enough people want to come and be part of the process and work on this with us, and know that we're going to make some magical theater happen every time that we start on a show.
Yeah.
That we've developed a large amount of people that want to be there. So
Nice, like volunteers.
all volunteer, not even like members of the cast. Some people in the cast do come and participate. There's no obligation. There's no expectation. They have their job as actors. We have our job on the team. The designers have their job to do that. And we just are fortunate enough to have a large group of people that say we want to be part of this because of the environment that's created and the quality that's going to happen.
Well, that speaks well to you as a director if you have that kind of, for all three of you. So.
Oh, definitely. And we're just fortunate enough to have the people that want to buy into what we're doing.
And how big is this cast?
So it's the biggest cast that I've ever directed. I don't know how I feel about going that big again because you don't get to get as close with everybody.
Right.
With a cast of 31 people.
30. I don't think I've ever seen a local play with that many people.
It's a lot of people, and I like the culture of it. It to me is really a huge part, and that's something we watch for in auditions. Even we watch for it from the moment people walk in that door. We have people watching from the environment, and because of that, people happen to know that at this point, and there's roaring applause every time someone walks out of the audition room. Everyone's there to support each other from the second they walk in on auditions, whether they're cast or not, and they leave the process saying, this was a wonderful audition process, thank you for letting me be there, which is something that I'm super proud to be able to say that we create that environment.
That is an achievement, and you'll draw the best talented people if you keep that.
And we're fortunate enough to have had that.
Like you have. So.
In my opinion, we've got some amazing people.
Yeah. So what happens, Noah, if they have someone who can sing well, who can act well, knows their lines, but can't dance?
They don't end up in the dance sense.
Well, I won't be that mean. No, I would say that I take in consideration if they've done gymnastics or if they have any sort of rhythm at all, and then you slowly build that over
maybe
time.
like the athletic skill.
You find their sense of rhythm if they have it, if they don't, if they're coordinated or not, which some people are, some people aren't.
Yeah.
And so you build from that. And sometimes what works in shows like this is you have the characters and the actors who aren't, but it works in their character. So you give them a couple steps that stylistically look great in the theme of the number.
Yeah.
Can they do it perfectly? No, but it fits the comedic goofiness of their character, and it comes across as genuine.
Yeah.
And from just stepping back from the choreography from it, at this point, just watching the last few rehearsals, there isn't a point like when you're watching the show that makes it seem like these are just local people reciting lines. Like it's actually a show. You're watching it unfold. And one of the really cool things about it is there are very rarely any points in the show where it goes to complete blackout between scenes. So one scene just flows right into the next, like you're watching the animated film in front of you, and it's a really cool thing to witness.
100%.
Yeah, that must be a challenge too, I would think.
Oh yeah, that's something I believe very strongly, and as a director is to limit it. I think I could count on one hand with all the shows I've directed how many real blackouts we've had.
Wow,
and even when we move on the train, it's going to be a Blue Out, which is going to be a train that weighs probably with 8 people riding on it about
Describe this train scene.
So it's they are going from Russia and they're going to try and get to Paris on forged papers.
Okay.
And so the projection is moving with it. So we had to physically make a train that was 10 feet long and is 8 feet wide.
Okay.
So this way, and put benches on it so we can have people on it. And then we have posts going up the sides that are weight bearing, so people can stand and move and walk around on it as we have it spinning and moving throughout the process to create this whole picture that happens. And people are removed from the train as it happens. People jump off the train as it happens.
So there's a train that's on stage, and it's not like going forward, obviously, but it moves and then the rear projection makes it seem as if you're going.
Exactly.
It gives the illusion.
But it does go in full circles, and it can move side to side. It's on wheels. They could move forward. I don't want them to.
Right.
But it could go anywhere they want it to.
Yeah.
And if it starts going the way they don't want it to, the people moving it know to step on the brakes.
Right.
But because it is taking place in a community theater, we don't have the technology to have it be all automatic, all automatron.
Right.
So that's something that I had to figure out how to build that into as well.
Yeah.
So because the scene, without giving too much away, the scene ends with guards coming in on the train.
Yeah.
We have 4 people that are guards throughout the show. standing there at attention the whole time, and then they move it and they go back to attention and they move and they're at attention
I see.
the entire time. That creates that whole picture. They don't interact with the cast, they don't interact with anything until the train stopped, and then they're their guards, and then the whole thing happens in that process.
It must have been so tricky to pull all this together. Josh, what was it like for you to like, you know, with the musical direction? Like, do you have to think about like what do you think about when you're coaching someone on how to sing? Like, what happens if somebody sings in a way that maybe doesn't match the right emotion for the character? Or like, how do you help them get that?
I've been known to be blatantly honest with people.
And you have to be. They're going to be on stage.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
sure they
that-
appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and I always go to a comfortability level. I'll be like, okay, do you want me to get you to the bare minimum of you singing it correctly, or do you want to be able to, like, I remember early on Liam, who's playing Dimitri, I gave him a page and a half of notes that he could use, and he's taken everyone like a champ. Same with Val, who's playing the Countess Lily.
Like, what would be in your notes as a music director? Like, what sorts of things would you notice, and like how would you tell people? What would you actually tell them to do to modify their performance or their vocal?
Okay, so I will listen for like certain lines, and like for example, let's see, for Liam and my Petersburg, I would say, okay, these words are sounding like they're going to become a problem eventually. There's a point where I say, oh, the I in survive has to be more of a tall vowel rather than spread.
Okay.
Just to be able to create sustainability over that, like we were talking about earlier, you have to be able to.
So it
help
gets
them do
that detailed. Like, you have to pay attention to the music director, like a vowel sound.
Oh, so
Yeah.
typically in community theater, you don't get to be able to get to that point.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate.
Sounds like you guys are really good at what you do, and your cast sounds great, so you can dig in.
From day one, our first music rehearsal, without giving too much away, I was able to contact a couple of professional people, be like, hey, this is our show, can you help us out with a couple of other things?
Yeah.
And they were like, this is a first rehearsal for question one, and question two, they say, this is community theater question. I've been very fortunate to not have to
They were
worry
like-
so much about teaching the notes on the page.
Because they're so good. Like,
Yeah, they're
it's
picking up.
amazing.
There's a song called "Stay I Pray You" towards the end of Act 1 that starts a cappella completely, and then it goes into 8 parts vocally.
Wow.
And they're not getting any sort of music from piano, anything. They just have to know the note off the top of their head.
Yeah.
And they do. Like I
He's
mean,
learned in like 30 minutes.
like the hardest song in the show that I thought was going to take hours, I did it first because I thought it would take a long time.
Yeah.
They had it done before we had to take a break at the hour mark.
The whole cast, they just knew how to do it. And,
So obviously, like the first time just sight reading it, it was like, okay, here's your notes.
Yeah.
This is what you have to be able to do. After probably running it the third time, they had it at a level that I was comfortable moving on and saying, wow, this is in great shape for day one.
Well, let me ask you guys a question out of left field here. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but now, do you think that she was a real person, Anastasia, obviously, this Anna was too, you know? Do you think that she was the Grand Duchess, Anastasia? She was Anna Anderson. In 1900, she showed up in Paris, and she said that, you know, her story was that they had so many, they put the jewels in their dresses to like smuggle them out.
They actually mentioned that within the show too.
So I mean, the theory was that the bullets bounced off the diamonds and rubies, and she said she survived. And do you think that she was really the real thing?
So in the original rumor that went around, it was Princess Anastasia and the younger brother Alexei, who's also a character in the
he
show.
too, really?
Got out. And Alexei's played by the cutest kid ever, Griffin. He's the best.
Yeah, Griffin.
And the original story is that they got out and they snuck out through a corridor in the back.
Okay.
Because they didn't find the bodies in with the rest of the Romanovs.
Yep.
forensics have come in since then, and they found them about 10 feet outside of the gate. So
it was a nice story.
It's a great story, but unfortunately, in the process of doing research with the show, found out that it's more of historical fiction than a possible fact.
Right. But it was a cool story.
It's a beautiful
host.
story. Yeah.
Right. And everybody wants to, think, oh, I was a prince or I was a princess. Or,
Oh, yeah.
And just got to get their memories back. Oh, yeah, that was me. I am Prince.
Exactly. And especially with the show, it has a street sweeper, someone who's really down on their luck. They have nothing to their name, and she happened to have had a diamond on her. So that's how they're able to get out. And then they hitchhike the rest of the way once they get off the train, and without giving out too much, but there's...
So that's Anna's story.
Yes.
That's how I have it. Now, in the play, is it resolved or? Maybe you don't want to tell us.
I can't give you that information, but the final musical number, the reprise of Still Neva Flows, you will have goosebumps. It is
really?
an amazing number.
Wow.
It was my favorite number of the show from when I saw it first on Broadway in 2017, and I had a direct vision for it, and actually changed what's kind of written in the script for like what they suggest has happened. With a vision of my own for it that I think fits it very well.
Wow, this play sounds amazing. I mean, all the passion you guys have for this, and the cast sounds incredible, and the work you did, and the special effects, the rear projection thing. I gotta go see this.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
but if you're going
like
Friday, it looks like that might be a sellout date.
So if you want tickets, can you get them online?
You can get them online at the Rome Community Theater Facebook page or their website. You could also call in. They accept calls as well. And if you want to get them at the door, I would just recommend getting there early.
And probably not on Friday, because that was
Friday, if you're going to go, I would definitely get there early if you're going to do
before
it.
that. So.
Yeah, because Friday's looking a little slim on seats left.
Well, that's great. It's already selling out, so congratulations. I mean, I know it's going to be an amazing show, so I'm not supposed to give you a good, let's say, break your leg.
Break a leg, yep.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be great. So Anastasia, the musical, will be at Rome Community Theater on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a matinee on Sunday. I was joined today by Justin Jones, who's the director, Josh Clanton, who's the music director, and Noah Alexander, who's the choreographer. So look them up on Facebook. I'll put links in our show notes at uticaphoenix.net. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next week and in the hot seat for Medium One Day. Now I'm going to kick things over to Jay Easy with the Easy Ride Home.
Yo, what's up?